Hello and welcome. I am Pranay Upadhyay and you are watching World Today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes his two-day visit to United Kingdom with India signing a major deal with Britain. India and the United Kingdom has signed the free trade agreement, the most important deal after Brexit. And then he arrived in Maldives. Prime Minister Modi, who is on a two-day state visit to Maldives, landed in Malé and was greeted by Maldives President Mohamed Mouizo along with his senior cabinet colleagues. Prime Minister Modi is first state guest being hosted by President Mouizo after he assumed office in 2023. Prime Minister Modi will also be the guest of honor on Maldives' 60th Independence Day on July 26th. Mouizo came into power with the India Out campaign. This campaign was launched to protest against India's defense personnel in Maldives. After coming to power, Mouizo had set a deadline of May 10, 2024 for the complete withdrawal of Indian military personnel. India did withdraw its personnel before the deadline, but this decision scarred the relationship. Mouizo is also considered pro-China. But what has changed now? Prime Minister Modi and President Mouizo first met on the sidelines of UN COP28 Climate Summit of Dubai in December 2023. But the relationship remained frosty. The direct reflection was the decrease of Indian tourists visiting Maldives. Tourism is the backbone of Maldives' economy, and India is the biggest source of tourists for this island nation. As a result, Maldives' economy took a hit, and this made Mouizo government to revisit the India policy and change its stance. India stood by Maldives and extended financial assistance. The $400 million currency swap from the Reserve Bank of India and the $100 million Treasury bond subscription from the State Bank of India has helped to stabilize the economy of Maldives. India was also the first country to recognize established diplomatic relations with Maldives after its independence in year 1965. India always stood with Maldives in testing times. With Operation Cactus in 1988, India sent its commando troops to thwart a coup to overthrow the then government of President Maumoon Abdul Gayoom. The Maldives is also a crucial ally in India's maritime security strategy. Its strategic location is close to many important shipping lanes. Therefore, India has always invested in the development of Maldives. India's assistance in housing projects, infrastructure construction have also helped to improve the bilateral ties. But a war of words on X started when Prime Minister Modi posted about Lakshadweep in January 2024 and encouraged Indians to explore their own country. This post of Prime Minister Modi drew bitter comments from Maldivian politicians. This led to the hashtag boycott Maldives movement. In year 2024, Indian tourists' arrival to Maldives fell by approximately 42% compared to the previous year. India, which had been the top source of market for Maldivian tourism. Prime Minister Modi and President Mouizo had one-on-one talks for about 40 minutes today. Later, both the leaders inaugurated several India-assisted development projects. After India-Maldives summit, following MOUs have also been signed between the two countries. Agreement for an LOC, line of credit, of rupees 4,850 crores to Maldives. A mandatory agreement on reducing the annual debt repayment obligations of Maldives on Government of India funded line of credits. An MOU on cooperation in the field of fisheries and agriculture and aquaculture was also signed. Launch of India-Maldives free trade agreement negotiations was also agreed during these talks. Agreement between India's International Payment Limited and Maldivian Monetary Authority on UPI payment mechanism in Maldives was also agreed and signed. India delivered Maldives the following development projects. India's gift to Maldives. And India handed over around 3,300 social housing units in Holhumile. Inauguration of roads and drainage system projects in Adu city. Also, inauguration of 6 high-impact community development projects was also concluded. Also, India handed over around 72 vehicles and other equipment to Maldivian Defense Ministry.
मालदीव की रक्षा क्षमताओं के विकास में भारत निरंतर सहयोग देता रहेगा। हिंद महासागर क्षेत्र में शांति, स्थिरता और समृद्धि हमारा साझा लक्ष्य है। कोलंबो सिक्योरिटी कॉन्क्लेव में साथ मिलकर हम रीजनल मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी को मजबूत बनाएंगे।
I'm also pleased to announce the initiation of negotiations for a free trade agreement between India and the Maldives. This landmark initiative marks a significant step forward in strengthening our economic partnership. We appreciate the pivotal role played by India in supporting the Maldives to manage economic and liquidity challenges through $400 million currency swap facility and interest-free one-year rollover of the Treasury bill in May 2025. India's continued assistance to the Maldives through the export of essential commodities is a key facet of our bilateral cooperation under the long-standing trade agreement.
And we are getting a breaking news. President Mohamed Mouizo of Maldives has hosted an official banquet for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And during that banquet, President Mouizo said that let me convey my heartiest congratulations to Your Excellency on becoming the second longest serving Prime Minister of India, because today Prime Minister Narendra Modi has exceeded the record of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi of serving as India's Prime Minister for the longest time. And this remarkable milestone of 4,078 consecutive days in office is a testament to your unwavering commitment to public service and dedication to the progress and prosperity of the people of India. So President Mohamed Mouizo also acknowledged this achievement of Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the banquet he hosted for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his delegation, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his delegation is there in Malé, and today both the nations concluded many MOUs, they signed many MOUs, and many projects has also been concluded. Let's listen in to what President Mohamed Mouizo has to say.
Excellency, first of all, let me convey my heartiest congratulations to Your Excellency on becoming the second longest serving Prime Minister of India today. This remarkable milestone, 4,078 consecutive days in office, is a testament to your unwavering commitment to public service and dedication to the progress and prosperity of the Indian people. Wishing Your Excellency continued success as you lead India towards greater heights.
Now we are being joined by Ahmed Adib, former Vice President of Maldives, to discuss the various facets of India-Maldives relation. Welcome to World Today. So my first question to you would be Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ongoing visit to Maldives. It is a very significant one, we all know, and he is visiting Maldives as a first foreign head of government under President Mohamed Mouizo's government. With the tensions from India Out campaign in the past, how do you see this visit helping to rebuild and strengthen the ties between India and Maldives?
So thank you very much for having me here. Yes, Prime Minister Modi has visited officially as a state visit, plus it coincides with our 60th Independence Day, and he is the chief guest and of honor for the occasion. So I would say this is a historical milestone achieved. I believe that things started very rocky during the first few months of the current government. But as you remember, I was always an advocate of India-Maldives relationship, how it will get better in future. Because I was from the same party, I understand the mentality of everyone. So this India Out campaign was solely started with President Yamin, who was the ex-president and former president of the party. So President Mouizo and him had a fallout, but President Mouizo inherited that India Out campaign. But I would say with experience, with the fact that India has been always there for us, and I think government has learned by their experience that it is always India that comes out for us, and I think they have changed their foreign policy, and I would say now they're in the right direction. So Prime Minister Modi's visit is I would say very historical.
Definitely, it can be termed as a reality check for the Mouizo government. But Mr. Adib, you have described the India-Maldives relationship as a milestone partnership and highlighted India's support during the tough times of Maldives. What key areas like economic help, maritime security or infrastructure projects do you think Prime Minister Modi's visit could focus on and take this partnership to next level?
Yes, I would say it's very important for us to align the foreign policy that we have always practiced, that is India first policy, and them balancing out other partners. So every small state like Maldives and other countries, they have a strategic partner, and then they balance out other countries. So I would say India has been always our strategic partner. It's not only by the relations, it's by the proximity. Together we are safeguarding the peace and harmony of Indian Ocean, and also we believe in the global South policy of India. And with India, I would say it's very important to strengthen the ties and also strengthen the defense agreements we have together, go forward with it, and as well as introduce the development part, the economic part of it, which India has become, I would say, the biggest infrastructure investment contributor for the last, I would say, 7 years. India has contributed a lot, and I would say this trip will be fruitful for more agreements. So I would say with India going for a 5 trillion economy under prime uh, visionary leader of Prime Minister Modi, I think Maldives can go hand to hand with India in this rise. So there are many areas of collaboration, like the trade, like the youth, technology, innovation, technology transfer, and trainings. So many areas.
But Mr. Adeep, if my memory serves me right, then last year you pointed out that the Mouizo government's late response to some of the derogatory remarks about Prime Minister Modi that caused a diplomatic stir. In your opinion, how the current government is doing in terms of rebuilding the trust with India, and what steps should they be taking to balance their foreign policy?
So you are right. At that time, I was criticizing my government as well, but I seen that India was very mature, very patient, and they didn't react. They just let it go, and they're also with this gesture. I think the government of Maldives has also learned by their experience, as I previously mentioned. So they have learned as well as, and they have done their moves, I would say, correctly in this change of foreign policy, in this change of relations. And going forward, I would say we all need to be very sincere, because it's not only in time of need, but in good times also we have to be together. And if we are together, and if we align a strategy, you cannot just change around the strategic partners, because strategic partners are not everyone is going to give you the importance, because since we have historical ties, and time again India has proved that has been always there for Maldives. I would say we have to strengthen it in a way that it will be always there, no matter whichever government comes. That sincerity and going forward, that motivation should be there, I would say.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Adeep, that India has always been a time-tested friend for Maldives. But my final question to you would be that what are the big expectations from people of Maldives for this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the future trajectory of India-Maldives bilateral relations?
So people of Maldives has always learned, we have so much common in our culture, our cuisine, our Hindi, the Bollywood movies, everything. So we Maldives people had never had any I would say anti-sentiments against India. It was all a political thing. So as you know, we go most of our medications to even India. So even during the COVID crisis, Prime Minister Modi opened a special gateway for Maldivians to go there and Indians to come to Maldives. So likewise, Maldivians have a very good affinity to India, with India. So going forward, I would like to say that what India and Maldives can do together is they are already helping Maldives by restructuring the debt, by delaying some of the payments. And I will say we need to find a long-term solution where even a small gesture from India, like a free trade agreement, like a double taxation treaty, or economic balance where we can go forward with India and also accessible to the markets. I would say very successfully, India has done a very successful free trade agreement with UK just now. So how we can also do something like that, and also together how we can, because Maldives is just a 500,000 people population, small country, just neighbor. So even a very small structuring or agreement can benefit a lot. Our GDP can go very high very quickly because our population is so small. So I would say if we can come up with something for long term, so good ties with defense and economy, that we all depend on each other, I think it will be a great solution going forward.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Adib, former Vice President of Maldives, for sharing all these perspectives with our viewers. And now, moving on to another big story. Pakistan's Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir met China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing. Post-Operation Sindoor, this is the Munir's first visit to China, while Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar is in Washington, D.C. for his meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Wang Yi, during the meeting with Pakistani Army Chief, raised the issue of safety of Chinese nationals working on various projects in Pakistan. Munir assured Wang Yi that all necessary measures would be taken to ensure the safety of Chinese personnel. During their meeting, Wang Yi said that the Pakistan military was a staunch defender of national interest and reiterated that the nations were ironclad friends and all-weather strategic partners. In a subtle message to India, Wang Yi reaffirmed that China would always prioritize Pakistan in its neighboring diplomacy. Earlier this year, China, in an unprecedented move, deployed private security personnel in Pakistan for the safety of its projects and nationals. The development came amid a series of attacks by Baluch militants on Pakistani soldiers as well as on Chinese nationals, rattling China as it was invested heavily in various China-Pakistan economic corridor projects. Munir, on his part, said that friendly cooperation with China was the consensus of the whole Pakistani society and thanked Beijing for its support on economic and social development in Pakistan. Moving on, let me tell you that tensions are once again flaring between Thailand and Cambodia. That is also a big concern for the global conflict zone, because Thailand and Cambodia are fighting at each other. At the heart of this conflict is around 900-year-old Preah temple, a symbol of cultural pride and a flashpoint of territorial dispute. The intense fighting involving various weaponry has resulted in at least 14 fatalities and has displaced thousands. It has also marks the most serious confrontation in over a decade. Take a look at this report.
Thailand and Cambodia are in a warlike situation, hitting military targets and leading to casualties. At the center of the border dispute is this 900-year-old Preah temple, a Hindu shrine dedicated to Lord Shiva, perched on a 525-meter cliff in Cambodia's Dangrek Mountains. Built under the Khmer Empire, a religious site for not just Cambodians but also their Thai neighbors. Roughly 95 kilometers to the west lies the Ta Moen Thom temple, a 12th century Shiva shrine. These cluster of temples are the reason for latest clashes. The Khmer archaeological complex, built by King Jayavarman VII, is made of sandstone, features a shivaling, and also hosts Buddhist sites too. But how has an ancient temple ignited border tensions between two countries? The border conflict has been on since a century now. In 1907, French-drawn map placed the temple in French Protectorate of Cambodia. In 1962, the International Court of Justice ruled in favor of Cambodia when the matter reached the court. Thailand was ordered to withdraw the troops and return any artifacts that were removed after 1954. In 2013, after renewed clashes, the ICJ granted sovereignty not just to the temple but to the surrounding area in Cambodia. Cambodia's push for the UNESCO site tag to the temples also triggered the Thai opposition. The Thai government claimed that Cambodia deployed drones recently to conduct surveillance of Thai troops near the temple, and that led eventually to the military strikes. The latest clashes mark the most violent escalation in over a decade. leaving at least 12 dead, dozens wounded, and forcing mass evacuations. The bloody conflict shows how a colonial-era border demarcation has brought two Southeast nations at a warring stage. Bureau Report, India Today.
Moving on to another conflict zone, French President Emmanuel Macron has said that his country will officially recognize the Palestinian state. This comes at as a time when the death toll due to starvation is surging and Israel continues to block the aid to Gazans.
2 days after WHO chief said that Gazans are facing man-made mass starvation, French President Emmanuel Macron, in a sudden announcement on X, said that France will recognize Palestinian state in September. France becomes the first member of the UNSC and the G7 nations to do so. This comes amid the deaths of thousands of Gazans who were killed while seeking food at aid centers. This move by France is seen by many as a bold one. Now the pressure is mounting on the other European nations to follow suit. But Macron's announcement has found opposing voices from Israel and its staunch Western ally, the United States. The US has strongly rejected French president's plan, calling it a reckless decision. While focus is on the other European nations, Britain welcomes the announcement but says ceasefire is now the top priority.
We've got to act with every word we use with international support to get the food and the support into starving people who are starving in Gaza and suffering in Gaza today. But we will not forget the diplomatic challenges that we have and the diplomatic efforts that will be needed to deliver the statehood that they need, that Palestine needs, and that Israel needs when it comes to its security. This can only be delivered by a diplomatic solution. We need the ceasefire. We are calling for a ceasefire.
Palestinians have welcomed the decision, though Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the move rewards terror following Hamas attack on October 7th.
We wish to have a Palestinian state, and the decision that France has taken is a bold decision. However, will other countries that control the world accept this brave decision? We want every person to call on every nation, every country. If France has given us the decision, it's a brave decision. It must rally and mobilize on its matter and not be alone in this picture.
On the one hand, as Palestinians hope that France can rally other nations to achieve a separate statehood, a failed talk between Israel and Hamas in Doha makes it a distant dream. In a post on X, President Trump's special envoy for peace missions, Steve Witkoff, said the US team was returning home as Hamas showed a lack of desire to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. The state of Palestine is recognized by more than 140 of the 193 member states in the UN. Spain and Ireland are a few EU countries to recognize Palestine. British MPs on the Foreign Affairs Committee called for the immediate recognition of the state of Palestine. Saudi Arabia also welcomed the decision. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now let's talk about another big story. US President Donald Trump and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell sparred face-to-face over the cost of renovations of the central bank's Washington headquarters, with the federal leaders saying that the president was wrong about the cost of the overhaul. Trump, standing shoulder to shoulder with Powell as both wore construction helmets, said that the Fed renovation cost had jumped from $2.7 billion to $3.1 billion, causing the Fed chief to say, "I am not aware about that." To which Trump replied that it just came out. And Powell again responded to that comment, and he questioned where the president's number had come from, as it did not come from the central bank. Powell then noted that it appeared that the president had included the current cost of fixing up 2 buildings, what it costs to overhaul another central bank office. While standing next to Trump, Jerome Powell said that he didn't anticipate any more cost overruns, but the Fed has reserved to deal with them if needed.
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added.
Our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building is what that is. That's a third building,
Well,
including
no,
the
but
Martin building.
it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them.
And now let's see what else is making news across the globe in World at a Glance.
According to the Wall Street Journal, former US President Bill Clinton wrote a letter to late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on one of his birthdays. Meanwhile, a senior US Justice Department official says he will resume his questioning of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. After the first meeting on Thursday, that was described as very productive by Maxwell's lawyer. The Federal Communications Commission approved the merger between Paramount Global and Skydance Media, clearing the way for an $8.4 billion sale for some of the most prominent names in entertainment, including the CBS broadcast television network, Paramount Pictures, and the Nickelodeon cable channel. The FCC agreed to transfer broadcast licenses for 28 owned and operated CBS television stations to the new owners after Paramount paid $16 billion to settle a lawsuit filed by US President Donald Trump over a 60 minutes interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris that aired in October. Iranians marched through the streets of Tehran following Friday prayers in support of Palestinians facing starvation in Gaza. Protesters waved Palestinian flags and chanted anti-Israeli and anti-American slogans at the demonstration. Some criticized the perceived inaction by Arab and Islamic states to help Gaza, while others say they would support a renewed conflict between Iran and Israel to aid the Palestinians. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met his Secretary General of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations in Beijing. Wang, also member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, said that China consistently prioritizes ASEAN in its neighborhood diplomacy and supports ASEAN in playing a greater role in international and regional affairs. Guided by the Central Conference on Work related to neighboring countries held in April this year, China will work with ASEAN member states to build a closer China-ASEAN community with a shared future, he said.
And this is all we have in today's edition of World Today. For more news, do watch India Today Global and take care. Good night.